Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome to another live show. It's James and Turkish tonight. What is going on here? Sorry, I'm just trying to get all settled. How are you doing, mate?
Oh, good.
You good?
Yeah.
We've got Tielemans and Bellerin to talk about today.
What? Again?
Oh, makes a change, doesn't it?
Sort it out, man.
That. Sort it out. Like, I'm not getting, like, agitated because I think the squad's in a good place actually for the first time going into a new season. I feel good. I kind of understand the need for a little bit of patience on certain deals, but it's a contradicting report. And actually, and I'll just say this at the beginning of the show, then I won't bother caveating this again. I understand that journalists are fed a lot of information from different sources and they've got to try and make sense of it themselves. Sometimes it won't make sense. Sometimes it's what the club want people to think and all these things. And I don't doubt that they try to do the best job. But there are just certain things that don't make sense to me when it comes to this Tielemans stuff. And I think we've got to talk about it today.
Right. It will all make sense to me if we don't get a midfielder over the line, and that would be that we was never interested.
Which is, by the way, actually where I am with it.
That we're probably not interested in one.
I don't think this this pursuit for a midfielder is as hot on Edu and Arteta's priority list as we think it is. It can't be
because... Alright, let's talk about Vieira for a quick sec, yeah?
Yeah.
What do you see him as? Do you see him as depth?
Exactly. Probably.
Because so let's say he is depth, yeah? Mm-hmm. That means we've spent 30 mil plus add-ons on depth when I think 30 mil would probably get Tielemans over the line, who we see as an upgrade in our first 11.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make sense to me. Mm-hmm. But then if Vieira's coming in maybe to either play the 8 or push Odegaard into the 8 and he plays the 10 himself, then we don't get a central midfield. Then it'll make a bit more sense to me. Maybe Zinchenko becomes a bit of a backup in that position or an option. But I'm still failing to make sense of it as well at this moment.
The Vieira one is exactly the kind of point of confusion because it's everyone wants to say, Tielemans is absolutely a priority for Arsenal. Cool. But when I say cool, he clearly isn't. And I don't mean to be rude about what people are reporting, what people are saying, but you don't spend 34 million on Vieira, who is largely going to play in those midfield positions, as you mentioned. And okay, I think he might play wide as well a few times, but you don't spend that money if you've got another position that you consider an absolute priority and absolute necessity to upgrade in. Now, my early impression of what Vieira is going to be, I think he's going to be legitimate quality depth across 4 positions, those 4 being right and left in the front 3 and right and left of the midfield 3. So he could probably play where Xhaka... There's a few moments where the ball came to Xhaka in the Palace game. By the way, I thought we had a really good game against Palace. There are a few moments where you could see where a Vieira would have had a lot of joy with a particular pass or a particular drive at goal or whatever. But you could also see where Odegaard might need to come off and Vieira can come on and you're not really compromising anything. So that's what I think Vieira is going to do.
Then I worry about the size of the team.
Okay.
You know who my...
Physically?
In terms of my preference... When it comes to Tielemans, Paqueta, Milinkovic, Savic, I heavily lean towards Savic. Not only because I feel like he's perfect for us in what he brings, but also his height is something that the opposition can worry about in our box, in their box, and so on. Vieira for me is very small. That's why I'm more entertained maybe Odegaard moving into that 8 and Vieira staying as going in as the 10 than I do maybe Vieira picking up that. Because as much as you're right, there's moments you see Xhaka pick up the ball going into the final third, and you know what a Tielemans will bring in that position, or you know what a Vieira will bring in that position.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's times where defensively Xhaka's doing something that I can't see Vieira do. Now, I think you said it the other day in terms of, I don't know, was it yesterday's live, or you said, look, we might be losing this and that when Xhaka comes out the side, but we might be gaining this, that, and that will make up for what we're losing. And
forever Arsenal.
For Arsenal, same podcast, which makes a lot of sense. Yes, when you look at Vieira and Xhaka, there's going to be moments where Vieira will probably do better in that position, but there's definitely moments where I haven't watched much of Vieira, but his size and the compilations I've seen of him, I don't know if he's going to be able to do the dirty work that Xhaka does at times.
Yeah, well, I think the idea of Vieira is he adds even more guile and more finesse to our attack and all that. That's why I think he's going to play across the front 3, especially in this first season, and maybe cover for Odegaard if needed.
Recently, we've been conceding possession. I say recently, Palace had more possession than us.
Yeah.
I think it was Sevilla that had more possession than us as well.
Yeah, in that first 25, 30 minutes they did.
I don't remember overall what it turned out to be, but if if we're going into that more possession-based 70% a game, it hasn't looked like it for me yet.
Well, I was going to ask, when's the day that we can see that Arteta's not trying to be Pep Guardiola? He's actually trying to be, but Diego Simeone.
Oh,
You know, because like the amount of games where we've got the goal or two and he's gone, I'm happy to sit on this. It's quite like, the only thing that makes me think it's not by design is the way he spoke in that Sky Sports interview after, when he really kind of stressed like
he wasn't
there's a lot to work on.
much.
Yeah, he wasn't particularly happy. That's the only thing that makes me think that's not how he wants to play, and the fact that he's learned under Pep and all that. But if I knew nothing about Arteta's history or who he'd work with or his inspirations, I'd say this guy wants to be Simeone.
Very cautious, isn't it?
Yeah, he wants to. He likes Xhaka, and he wants that kind of security in terms of positionally, players who aren't going to get caught out on the pitch and all that. But look, back on the Tielemans stuff, let's just remind ourselves of what we do know, which isn't a lot. I say that. We kind of know a lot without knowing much because there have been so many reports. Arsenal having conversations with him all the way back in January about a potential move for the summer. So they've been speaking to him and his entourage and understanding his contractual situation for a while. He's got 1 year left on his deal. Everyone says that supposedly personal terms are agreed. It's even got to the point where Tielemans is going to snub Man United. They don't even bother to go for him because he'd only take Arsenal if the two were sort of to fight it out. So, okay, so everything seems to be understood between the player and the club side. So I can't understand why, where have Arsenal gone, here you go, yeah, that's what we'll offer you. You're happy with that, that's great, cool. And no, we want you, that's all good. But could you just wait? Because, we're not quite ready to do it yet. Now, that only makes sense if you're arguing, well, Arsenal need to make room in the squad. But part of the room that's been taken up has been through Zinchenko and Vieira, two players that could play in that position. Okay, you say Zinchenko was crucial because of Tierney, but remember we did have Tavares. Now, whether he was good enough or not, again, if you're saying central midfield's a priority, do you maybe do that deal over bringing in a left-back cover? I don't know. It's why I'm convinced that Zinchenko's going to be a midfielder. It just doesn't quite add up. And he'll be seeing, Arsenal linked to Paqueta, Arsenal linked to these players. He'll be speaking to his agent. What's going on? The only way it makes any sense if Arsenal have said, we want you and we want a wide forward, we need to get this wide forward first. That's the priority. That's the only way it makes sense to me while we're waiting so long. Am I being a bit dumb, guys? Like, let me know in the comments. I don't really get it. It doesn't fit. Something doesn't.
Yeah, the only way it fits is, like we said at the beginning, if we're actually not that interested in a centre mid or a left centre mid 8, however people want to title it. That's the only way it will make sense. Because waiting it out, and like I've mentioned before, if another team comes in for a player we're interested in, very few times do we win that battle. Yeah. So why would we wait? Again, that question, is going to be asked.
It's actually confusing me. The more I talk about it, the more confused I get, which is why I'm not making a lot of sense. I think you've actually hit the nail on the head there. The only way it makes sense, forget what I said, I was talking rubbish, is if Arsenal do want him, but he's not a priority, and it's like, we'll do the deal if we can, but also we're not desperate to do it. And he's probably like, cool, we'll do the deal if we can. If not, I'll play another year at Leicester, and then I get to go wherever I want on a free and command a bigger wage.
Yeah, which is mad to me. It's mad to me. If a wide forward is the priority over centre mid, I think that's taking a risk in itself. I know a lot of people want another wide forward, but I think in terms of our forward options, we've added Jesus, and Vieira, in my opinion, will play in one of those four, in the three positions behind the striker. So I'm really looking at an upgrade for Xhaka, but it just does. For me, it indicates that Xhaka is going to be in that role. So I'm coming to terms with not maybe bringing in a centre mid. Maybe it's going to be a wide forward that we do bring in.
If Arsenal go into the season and Mikel Arteta was to sit here and say to you, forget the Partey on any position. If you were to say that the two options we've got, so the options we've got in terms of that Xhaka position are Odegaard, Vieira, Xhaka, Lokonga, Zinchenko, Smith Rowe. Would you be happy? Would you? And that came at the cost of bringing in another wide forward, or let's say, would you be okay with that for a year?
It depends on the results coming up to him saying that, and the results after he says that. It's not necessarily what they say. Right. Yes, we want to hear more from them, but at the same time, we want to see, and this is the season to see now. So if you believe, and that you maybe Arteta, it might be Edu, Vinay, or Kroenke, if you believe that we're ready for this season, regardless of Chelsea's mess of a transfer window so far, regardless of Man United's big mess of a transfer window so far, even if they had positive transfer window, this season should be the season that they turn around to us and say, see, Arteta mentioned the project going bang 2021 season. We're now in the 22-23 season.
Yeah.
So it needs to go bang this season.
Yeah.
So if he believes his options are good enough, that's cool. It's not me to be happy or unhappy about that. Like I said, the results will determine my happiness.
No, and you're right. We focus too much on transfers sometimes, and ultimately they could sign no one. If we win all 38 games, we don't care.
Yeah.
So you are right. I think I'm very much like talking myself into some sort of understanding of where I am with it, because it's been such an ongoing saga for so long. I think ultimately where I am, Arsenal need one more difference maker. Whether that's a player that comes in next to Partey and Odegaard and thrives and our midfield is complete and I'm all for it, great. Or whether it's another wide forward that is that difference, that when you're on top against Palace for 20-30 minutes, you don't just win, you're not 1-0 up, you're 2-3-0 up. Because and I love Saka and Martinelli and I love Jesus, but which of the three is a killer in that front three? I'm not sure one of them is. They don't even have to be a 30-goal-a-season striker. I think they just have to be someone that is absolutely terrifying. Just that. I think if we get a difference maker either in the front three or the midfield three, I'll be happy with the business done there. Because I think across the squad, we've got enough to make up for it, for wherever else we're lacking. Ideally, we want more right-back depth. But we're kind of happy with what we've got. Ideally, we want a fourth top centre-back. Ideally, we want 2 great goalkeepers. Ideally, we want 3 strikers. But I think we all kind of understand that there's only so much you can do, and there's other things to take into account. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. Let's go into the comments and super chat, see what people are saying. We've got to talk a little bit more on this Tielemans stuff from another perspective in a sec. But Jaden says, do you think that Fabio Vieira will act as something similar to Smith Rowe, as more of an inverted winger instead of a wide winger like Saka and Martinelli? It's a great question.
Potentially, but we have a fair few of those already.
Yeah.
I'd like a winger that actually hugs the touchline. Well, Saka did that against Palace, but naturally when he picks up the ball, he's gonna cut in naturally.
He wants to get onto his left foot.
I think we need an option that actually head down the right or down the left. That would be nice. But I agree. I think that is probably the plan for Vieira.
Taryn says, having Vieira's depth for 4 positions isn't depth, lol, that's just short-changing. We'll need a quality 18 to 20 players, not 15. Yeah, but they're not mutually exclusive. What I mean is, just because Vieira can act as depth for 4 positions doesn't mean we've got depth in 4 positions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it means that we could get by. Exactly.
It means he could slot in I think, very comfortably in 4 of them.
But again, like I said, it's the third year of the process. It is the season now to see. So if there were to be 2 injuries in that forward line and Vieira steps into one of those, on one hand, people can say it's unfortunate, it's another injury. No, there's no unfortunate about it. Be prepared for anything this season.
Yeah, especially when we're going to have probably an extra 12 games plus this season, what with European football. Timothy asks, after looking at what transpired with Man United, I'm really grateful that Arteta and Edu are still staying around until today. I mean, Arnautovic, Rabiot, so clearly he's not impressed. But I think it's more with Arteta and Edu, whether they prove the right people or not. I think what we have learned is that there's something to be said for stability. Whether it works or not, there's something to be said for actually seeing out someone's plan a little longer, which rarely happens in football. I think there's no doubt Arsenal are in a much better place now than they were that bad patch in 2021 under Arteta, where no one, I don't think, could have foreseen us feeling this optimistic under Arteta and Edu.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Like I said, it's their man, and they've done the right thing by their man. You believe in him, you support him, cool. And in terms of Mikel Arteta, the Kroenkes have done their bit in maybe not releasing their own money, but allowing the money to be spent that the club make and so on. So that's why I say push comes to shove. Yes, we're in a better place. Yes, I like a lot more players than I did a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It's not about who I like. It's about achieving now, because I want to start loving some of the players again, because I used to love a lot of the players back in the day. It's been a long time since I'm loving what I'm seeing, and not 1-2 games, not 1-2 months. I mean, seasons on seasons.
One of the discussions that actually has been going around on social media, you guys even touched on it on the Big Six on your channel, is around whether Liverpool might pursue Yuri Tielemans.
Oh yeah.
Is that something you're worried about?
Well, obviously, if Liverpool come in for him, it's over, isn't it? Before the
is.
conversation even starts.
Yeah, it would be.
You know, so they definitely need something.
Well, their situation's getting a little desperate in midfield. I say a little desperate. And listen, it's Liverpool, right? It's one game, but you feel with Thiago injured, Oxlade-Chamberlain injured, Keita can't seem to really string a proper amount of fitness together. Henderson inconsistent. Well, I say inconsistent. Liverpool fans will tell you more. Good player, but I think there's a feeling they want to move on from some of these. Tielemans just feels like such an obvious pickup for so many teams, where I think he'd be perfect for Liverpool. I think he's perfect for Man United. I think he's perfect for Arsenal. He's got a year left on his deal. I fear that if one of these teams gets serious, Chelsea, Tottenham, I honestly think everyone but City could pick up Tielemans right now and benefit from it.
A year left on his contract. That says it all. He's a quality player, and a few teams are lacking in quality. Listen, he's not world class, but he's listen.
Does he have world class potential?
I'm not too sure. I'd have to probably say no, but that doesn't mean that I'll turn my nose up at him. He definitely adds to our side, and he'll set new levels in that position over recent times. By that I mean when Tierney came in, we saw new levels set at left back. Look at Saliba this season, for example. Ramsdale coming in last season. Quality players all over have come in over the years and set new levels. I think Tielemans would do that in the 8th position. A lot of people still debate whether he's better than Xhaka, but that debate's nonsense to me. I don't think that's a debate at all. I think if we was to get him, we would see, or they would see. I honestly think he's a quality player. I think there's better out there. But listen, we're in the Europa League. We've been underperforming for years. If we can take him, we take him and we move.
Patrick says that Vieira will get bullied in this league. Big Moist says sell Sambi, so he's not convinced that he's going to have much of a part to play. I think Sambi's going to prove a few people wrong. Actually, I'm excited for the season he'll have. Walk Like Jesus says Tielemans and Gakpo are required. Gakpo, another one that's linked. Tielemans just feels like the one that's dragged on all summer. I asked the question on Twitter. I said, guys, this doesn't make sense to me. What's going on? And I think one of the points that stuck out to me most was the comparison to the Partey deal, in that it could be a case of, I mean, we know the AFC Bell was saying for ages that things have been agreed with Arsenal and Partey. There was Ghanaian reports as well saying it, a few others here and there saying, listen, there might be something in this. But generally, it was quite quiet on the mainstream media front. Now, we have The Athletic telling us that Arsenal do like Tielemans for sure, that it's going to take offloading someone else or whatever. This could all be a real ploy just to drive down the price as much as possible and just say, listen, we don't need him for these first 5. So actually negotiate, drive. They've not signed anyone. They're getting a little bit desperate as well, Leicester. You know, dropping a 2-goal lead against Brentford, that's an appalling start for them. It might get to the point where actually where they're asking 40 million, they might go, fine, 25, just do it. We need the money.
Yeah. Well, that would maybe make sense if all of a sudden with a week to go of the transfer window, you see 23.5 million deal agreed with Leicester. Then I'd be like, okay. Because it definitely wasn't 23.5 million the whole window. So then it would make a bit more sense to me. But again, we're playing a risky game, and if another club comes in, it doesn't bode well for us.
It can, when you get it right, it can look really good.
Shrewd, yeah.
It can be really like, oh, well done. You know, you manoeuvred through the first 5, you collected the points, and then you went and, you know, that's. But we'll see. It's a risky game because it takes one performance where we don't control midfield, where we look a little shaky, where we're lacking a little bit of inventiveness in the final third, and everyone goes, the guy's been there the whole time. And sometimes we'll see, it's not worse, but sometimes what hammers the point home is when you do then go pick him up, he balls out, you know, everything's great, Arsenal look fantastic, and you're going, that's 2 points dropped over there.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to spend the extra 5 minutes. Sometimes that 2 points, as we saw last season, can be worth what, £50 million Champions League
Yeah.
football. So yeah, it's just a tricky one. I think my final word on it, before we go into some more comments and super chats, is ultimately, I think Arsenal would like Tielemans. I think if they can do it at a price that makes sense and they can make the room in the squad, I think they would more than happily have him. But I don't think they're fighting tooth and nail to bring him in personally. And it could be a case, and actually Football London reported this in the last hour or two, it could be a case that they say, we know everything's agreed between us. If we can't get this done, have a great year at Leicester. We'll see you on a free next year.
Potentially, yeah. Potentially. But then other clubs will come in, and then the Champions League is a must. Because he already... I think towards the end of last season, Tielemans came out, or some report came out that he wants Champions League football.
Yeah.
But that quickly changed when he saw the interested parties. So
yeah,
best believe if he's available for a free, that's going to be a main priority for him again.
And listen, who's to say he doesn't go somewhere in January? I mean, because that's when Leicester will be commanding a fee more than ever. They'll be going, this is the only time we can get anything for what was a £40 million investment, one of our best players. And in the Brentford game, he looked really sharp. Like, I saw, obviously just a little compilation that made its way around Twitter, but wow, just some of the little touches and little things he did, you're just like, wow, this guy, he had that Cazorla-esqueness about him without being quite as skillful, but that kind of, movement.
And Leicester need to make it make sense in terms of getting in good value for money.
Yeah, they've got to.
Well, they're getting good value for money in terms of making sales as well. They need it to make sense. It's not like Arsenal over there where commercially they're going to be making as much as us, so they can allow players to tear up contracts. So you're right, January does become another option. Yeah. But I'd much rather go into January saying, I don't care what happens, than worrying about bringing in an upgrade or worrying about covering a position that's let us down.
Yeah.
I'd rather be ready now. That's it.
I just don't know who else comes in that... If we sign Rafinha, for example, and then that was our window done, Rafinha, Vieira, Zinchenko, Jesus, I personally would be very, very happy with that. Is it the perfect window? No, but for me it's as close to reasonably perfect as I could imagine. And I'd understand, I could see how we've added options in midfield. Options, not necessarily a guaranteed, bam, they're in, we're better, but options in that Xhaka role. There's some intriguing, if Tierney finds form, all that. I just don't know who's out there that's that Rafinha type that Arsenal could get that would offset the disappointment of not getting a Tielemans. That's all it is.
Yeah, with Rafinha, listen, quality player, but I just didn't understand it. That amount of money for a player where we currently have a player we're happy with in that position. And I know options is a big thing. I know that, but I'd be more understanding if it was on the left hand side, like a Gakpo or Diaby. Because then I look at the left-hand side as Martinelli needs to step it up this season. But at the same time, if we can add competition in there, we can add someone in there, then yeah.
Yeah, well, I like the idea of Gakpo because he's slightly different in that. Yes, he's pacey. His goals and assist record last season looked good, but also he stands at 6'2".
Yeah.
He's 22 years old. He gives a slightly different dimension. Now, a lot of people do this thing. Over 6 foot, he must be good with his head. It doesn't work like that. But at least to ask a different question, at least to have a different kind of option out on the left or even up front because he has played there as well. So that might be one that's interesting to keep an eye on. And the rumours don't really seem to be dying down on that front. Let's see what everyone's saying. Playboy says, not sure how true it is, but Indy Kyler on Twitter said, we placed a bid yesterday, it was rejected, and today Tielemans demanded his valuation be lowered. I don't know, who knows what these days, but could be true. Sean says, what price tag would you sell Xhaka for? What's his valuation? Your opinion? We bought Vieira for 30 million. Curious on your thoughts. Good question.
Well, when he was available, no one offered more than 13 million.
Yeah, I don't even think it was that. I think it was like 11 plus add-ons.
Yeah, that was Roma, right?
Yeah.
So my honest valuation is 15 million.
I don't think anyone would pay it, but I do think he's a 20 to 25 million pound player. But I don't think anyone would pay it. So then does that make that his value? Probably not. I think a team would maybe pay 20. Well, what's against Xhaka is the form he's shown the last year or two is slightly like the levels he's got to the last year or two. That while it's it's had flaws in it, it's not been perfect. There's like 3-4 years before that are mediocre at best, and I think he's still struggling to shake that out of people. That
Well, what would the team be buying? Would they be buying a deep line playmaker that people said he was for 5 years, or would they be buying
another great point? Another great point. What are you exactly getting? People might think I'm crazy. I think I think someone like a Conte would enjoy Xhaka. Not that I'm not at Spurs or anything. I'm just saying in that he plays a 3-4-3. You could say Tuchel as well. He's quite safe in possession. You'd have three behind him. You'd have the creators around him, and he just kind of needs to keep everything ticking.
I just think he's not mobile enough for them. I know he's got everything
Sure.
else for them apart from mobility.
Yeah, I don't actually mean for Tottenham. He wouldn't get in the Tottenham team. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, well, maybe he would. I don't know. I'm not entertaining any of these debates. What I'm saying is, in a system where the wing backs give the width, there's a back three in front of him, and there's kind of a creative trio and a box-to-box, energy in midfield. I think he'd thrive there. And actually, we kind of saw it when we won the FA Cup. And do you remember he was playing with Ramsey? Mm-hmm. And behind him he had the mighty holding Mertesacker Monreal. Hey, they won an FA Cup. But he actually looked really good in that system for a while. Ozil, Sanchez did their thing in front. So maybe that's where. But I agree. I think that's one of the things that takes from him, that you don't really know what you're getting.
Yeah, 100%. That's why 15 million for me is realistic. And even that, 12 months ago, we couldn't even get that. So, yeah, I might be dreaming here.
Yeah. That would be interesting. But I don't think that's going to be one we're going to have to worry about for a while. Timothy says, after looking at, we read that one, apologies. Where else are we? Chaitanya says, Tielemans, another fan signing like Basuma.
It could be.
Maybe.
Could be.
Although I do think there's been slightly more concrete links.
Seems so, but Vlahovic apparently does concrete links, and then he said he didn't know about it, so...
Joe asks, what do we need more? And you asked this in Forever Arsenal. A defensive midfielder, a central midfielder, a defensive midfielder or a central midfielder / attacking midfielder. So he's basically saying Tonali or Tielemans. For me, Tielemans.
Yeah, that's the position I think we need an upgrade in. I'm happy with Partey in the 6. I know the depth is an issue, but I still think we need to improve the 11 before depth.
Joe asks, or Joe, is that short for Giovanni? Maybe not. What happened to Asensio link? Would be an upgrade on Martinelli, in my opinion. 1 year left on deal, could be a steal for 30 million. We're going to talk about that in a bit. Should we save it for that? Should we save it for the top of the list of wingers?
Yeah.
We'll go to that.
Some list.
This is it's good fun. Callum says, can't help but feel we'll be left underwhelmed in September. Well, it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, we're very used to that feeling.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a bit of a different. Look, I can't lie to you. Yeah, I'm one of the most pessimistic Arsenal fans I know, and probably a lot of people watch out there. But if we beat Bournemouth, if we beat Fulham, if we beat Villa, and we don't bring in another player, I'm not necessarily going to be underwhelmed, because, again, it's on them now. It's the third year of the process. We would have won 4 games out of the first 4. Yes, ideally, we all wanted a midfielder. To be honest, ideally, we all wanted another striker. Ideally, we wanted more in the right-back position. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's over to them. When it's September 1st, it's over to them. They have to get it done now. And by get it done, I don't even mean win a fucking league or challenge. I just mean get us back into Champions League, build on last season, score more, concede less, nail down your style of play, be proactive in majority of the games, front foot. That's what I want to see this season. So, yes, I want a central midfielder before September 1st. If it doesn't happen, over to you guys. Yeah.
I actually get what you're saying.
But if we don't win all 4 games, and we don't sign a player, then that underwhelming feeling comes back, because it's like, here we go again.
Yeah, I hear you. Luke says, if we don't sign a central midfielder and we don't get top 4, then there must be consequences for Arteta, Edu. 6 years of Xhaka's not worked. Why would it this season? And I think that's another thing when we talk about Xhaka that goes against him. It's that he was very much at the heart of some of the badder times for Arsenal. When I say the heart, I'm not saying it's his problem. I mean, he was playing in midfield regularly, whether it was under Emery, whether it was under Wenger, and people struggle to understand why he just seemed undroppable for everyone. So if it's another year of disappointment and he's at the heart of it, it won't be this season. It won't be any other. It hasn't been any other season. Xhaka's fault we didn't get top 4. But did he play a part of it? Of course, like everyone else. And if there's another year of it, people will just point to the same things. I think that's part of why he has signed on. I think he wants to really prove, no, I can be part of a top team that can be on the up and get Arsenal playing in the competitions he wants to play in. I really think he wants to prove that.
Well, a wise man once said, we don't talk, we do. And then we got smashed by Tottenham. So,
Well, at least he didn't talk, to be fair.
Well, he's talked a lot during the summer, that's for sure. 3 different interviews about relationship with the fans. Listen, if he's being trusted again, then so be it. You guys know how I feel about it already. So be it. At the end of the day, Emery fell on that sword. Wenger partly fell on that sword. It's up to Arteta now. You know, if he believes he can truly change around his fortunes with what he's done around him, cool. I hope that is the case. Because if that is the case, we go back in the Champions League, we continue building. I'm just very doubtful of that. Do I think we can make Champions League now that we've changed a lot of the cogs around him? I'm more hopeful of it, partly because of how messy Chelsea and United have been, but partly because of the signings we've made as well. So credit to them for that. But if we slip up again and that position costs us, I ain't hearing no excuses. None whatsoever.
Yeah, no. Do you know what? I hear that, and there can't be any. There can't be anything like, you know. And by the way, we're all feeling very optimistic about the season.
Yeah, 100%.
There can't be anything like, oh, Arsenal just weren't able to get the midfielder they wanted. No, they were. They were. They just chose not to.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that kind of rounds up the midfield chat. But let's just get these final comments. Hadi says, we've been linked with Sanchez, Ruiz, Tielemans, Neves, Arthur. Tonight, Arthur, yeah. That's one that kind of went out of nowhere. Tonali, Fofana, Savic, Paqueta. None of them are the same style. Just clickbait. Big up to you, love. He says. Sorry, Hadi. I don't know what made me struggle reading through that. It's a good point. I mean, a lot of them are very different. Ruiz is more of a kind of very slick, but also got a bit of presence about him. Sanchez is kind of a box-to-box powerhouse, but he's again good on the ball. Neves is more of a number 6. Arthur's more of a kind of creator, I suppose. Tonali's more like Neves. Milinkovic-Savic is just a bulldozing box-to-box midfielder. Yeah, it's a good point. They're all slightly different. And Carl says, Gakpo, Tielemans, Yeremy Pino, Tonali, and then he quotes me, Zinchenko will play midfield. And he says, James from Sky Sports. But they're not in. You just listed a bunch of players we don't have. So, yeah. Or maybe he's making the point that I'm saying we don't need them because Zinchenko will play midfield. If you ask me what I want, I would love Zinchenko to be cover for Tierney and us to sign another midfielder and have specialists in those positions. I just don't think that's what we're doing. That's all it is. It's not what I want.
That's fair.
I just don't think that's the direction the club's going. Rizwan says, sign Tonali, Tielemans and Gakpo, third place is ours.
That's not. You know we're not signing 3 more players from now until the end of the window. So
I wholeheartedly agree. Bruno Guimaraes is the one we really missed out on. Mentioned by Jack Burson here.
Yep.
That is absolutely the one we missed out on. It's so frustrating. But anyway, we're not going to dwell on the past. Speaking of dwelling on the past, Hector Bellerin. He's... let me get the actual tweet from Fabrizio Romano because he's there, he confirms the news, he lets us know what's going on amongst everything. And what did he say? If you know Romano, he tweets a lot of updates. So I'm just scrolling. I'm still scrolling. Wow, here we go. 4 hours ago. There we go, we've made it. Hector Bellerin's agent is in London today as he met with Arsenal's board. Lucky him. Been told meeting took place in the morning, discussions ongoing to terminate the contract. Here we are, back to ripping it up. Bellerin asked to return to Betis as soon as possible. It's his priority. Priority these days means wanting to go to Betis but telling them to wait while you go and sound out other clubs until you eventually go to Betis. Listen, it's another contract getting terminated, I suppose.
I'm tired of this one now.
How can we not command a single fee, man?
I'm tired, but this one I'm tired of. This one just make it happen. Just make it happen. I don't even understand why they got to meet in person. Can't they do this on FaceTime or WhatsApp voice call? We don't want you. It doesn't seem like they want you. So listen, we ain't paying you off for the rest of the year. Just leave, mate. Just leave. Just end it all. And we move.
Do you know what's concerning about this one? This is a player who went on loan and did well for them.
Yeah.
And they don't want to pay the money. We saw it with Fiorentina and Torreira. Now, maybe someone can educate me, and I don't mean it in a condescending way or anything. I'm being genuinely serious. Like, maybe someone can educate me and tell me that maybe other clubs across Europe are still really struggling on the transfer front. We see what big clubs in England are paying. And maybe the reason certain fees are commanded for players is because they need the money. You look at Lukaku going back to Inter Milan, they just couldn't even pay half what they received only a year on. So maybe that's a part of it, but it just staggers me that we couldn't command anything for Bellerin. But listen, he's going to get the move he wants. The whole thing with Arsenal went stale. For the sake of, this might well be the last time we kind of mention Bellerin, and so I will make the point that I think this is a guy who did have real pace. That was his asset. That was his ability to get in beyond, his recovery. If his touch wasn't quite there, because he wasn't always the most technically gifted in the team, and if he had a bad touch, but he had the pace to recover and all that. And I think he played in a team that was very attacking, was often in the final third and all that. I think the day he did his ACL, which I believe was against Chelsea, and he was out for maybe 11 months or whatever, I think that was when he just couldn't come back the same player, in my opinion. And I feel for him. He doesn't turn in the same way. Again, maybe I'm just, what's it called? Positive bias. When you tell yourself something, so you think you keep seeing it. Maybe it's just that. Maybe I'm giving him too much benefit of the doubt. But I just think that injury just hampered him too much, and he's just struggled to get back to it. So it's not worked. Off he goes back to Betis on a free, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, injury is definitely a part of it. He was actually in Premier League Team of the Season one year.
Yeah,
I actually remember that. And I remember you arguing for him back then. I got a lot of United supporting friends, Tottenham supporting friends. I remember there was a few arguments, and I'd be backing Bellerin, but the injury was one thing, and taking his eye off the ball was another thing. And by eye off the ball, I just think that it looked like he wanted to be Hollywood.
Do you want to know the team that year? So it's the PFA Team of the Year. It was the year that Leicester won it, so we finished second. De Gea, Bellerin, Wes Morgan, Toby Alderweireld, Danny Rose, Riyad Mahrez, Dele Alli, N'Golo Kante, Dimitri Payet, Jamie Vardy, Harry Kane. What a team.
Imagine.
Listen, some very, very good players there, obviously, but also some that after a year or two maybe didn't. Maybe I'm being harsh, but yes, no. Listen, not take. He made the PFA Team of the Year. I mean, fair play, and that is recognition of what he gave over a full season to Arsenal.
Yeah, and like I said, back then we all thought he's going to be special. We all thought he's going to be at the club for forever. We all wanted him to grow and develop, and it looked like moving into this modern era that is football, he looked like he was perfectly suited to it. Someone that could get up and down the line, powerful, can get into the opposition box and put a ball across. That injury, like I said, one thing, fashion, vlogging, all of these events is another thing. I just think he's not on it. He's not on it. He's not on football.
If Cecil were here, he'd be really saying like, look, why can't players be doing things? Obviously, Cecil, if you don't know, runs a business where he tries to educate sort of players on what they can do as well outside of football and all that, and get themselves prepared for the outside world. And So what if he did these other things?
Oh, you look at what happened to the career that brought you into a position where you can do these other things. It went downhill fast, and if you take your eye off the ball, that's the risk that can come out. And look now, like we just said, Betis don't even want to pay any money for you. No one in world football wants to give us 8 million, 7 million, 5 plus 5. No one wants to give that. What was it, 6 years ago he was in Team of the Season? It's mad. The drop off is mad.
Yeah.
So as much as doing stuff and doing things outside of football can be good, I look at what Sadio Mane does. I look at what Mesut Ozil's done over the years. Other players do other things, but don't let it have an impact on the bread and butter.
Yeah, I get it. I
think, to be honest, I use Ozil's name. I think I shouldn't have, because when he started doing gaming and all that, you compare that to his decline in quality on the pitch, and it's a similar thing. I'm like, what's going on here? Bellerin's doing up fashion in Paris. We've just lost on the weekend. Ozil's doing VR gaming 3 hours after a defeat. It's like, what are these men really on? Where's their mind at? So Bellerin for me, I'm tired of talking about Bellerin. When you just said, like 7 minutes ago, this is one of the last times we're going to talk about Bellerin, I looked up because I hope it is, because I'm truly tired.
But it's just overspill of the past regimes and all that. And you know, I think a lot of people, as you mentioned, positive or negative about what's going on, at least there's something fresh about what's happening. And I think it's just that, like, it's almost like not even personal anymore. It's just like, and it never really should be personal. It's never personal, but it's just more like, okay, we're just really ready to leave certain things kind of back to previous. As someone, I saw a great tweet. Someone said they took a picture of the Arsenal crest with the, you know, they had the wallpaper around the Emirates. They said banter era, and now they've taken it down. They're like new era. I was like, you know what? I love it. You know, rip down the wallpaper, and we're back. You know, interested to see what actually Arsenal do with that, because that is, that is something that, you know, the club are working on. That the new screens are trying to, you know, reinvent the Emirates a little bit.
About time.
It really is about time, and those things do matter to me.
Of course it matters. We're there every weekend.
Yeah.
So of course it matters. Like, they need to sort it out.
Yeah. Diallo says, Turkish, where's Daniel Ek? Haven't heard from that Arsenal fan in a while. Also remember, the end does not always justify the means. Be objective. Okay.
Where's Daniel Ek? Well, obviously, ever since the Super League stuff, well, I say ever since, we finished 5th after finishing 8th. So I was about to say it's got better, but it's seemingly getting better. So Daniel Ek is not in the best position right now to be going in with another bid or showing interest. Obviously, off the back of the Super League thing, that was the best time to do it. Since the Super League thing, since the dust has settled a little bit, you know, it's quieting down. It's inevitable. That's what's going to happen.
Henry always said, you know, be patient. It'll take a while. Like, he's waiting. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, because as a fan base, we are you know, we've been divided over the years, to say the least. But we are loyal and passionate, and we want the best for our club. So during times like this, where it's seemingly better, I'm going to continue saying seemingly, because he just mentioned something about the end. The end should be a Premier League title, or at least coming very close to it, for me to even entertain the end game with what's going on with the Kroenkes. But listen, Daniel Ek's there. He showed interest. We'll see if it happens again. I don't care if it's Daniel Ek. I don't care if it's someone that comes out of nowhere and tries to bid. I don't care who it is next. I just don't feel like this ownership will take us to the promised land. Happy to be proven wrong. Of course I would be. And if I am, then I'll hold my hands up and I'll say, listen, I was wrong. Long may it continue. Yeah,
when the Super League stuff happened and the Daniel Ek stuff emerged, my biggest cause for hope, I didn't really come away from that going, oh, wow, there's going to be a change, all that. My biggest hope was that something's got to happen. Even if they don't sell, there's going to be some sort of reaction, whether it's caring more, whether it's putting more money, whether it's putting the right people in place, whatever it was, something's going to happen. And in fairness, whether it's enough or not, I actually think something has happened. We will find out this season how much has really changed, or how much their efforts to change are actually going to improve what we want to see. Anything Arsenal says, please say someone has mentioned Cecil saying, yeah, we know what Cecil said yesterday on the live. He said he spat his beer out. Listen, that super chat will pop up on screen. I'm not about to repeat Cecil's words. You read the comment.
Is that what he said?
It's not quite how he said it.
Why is those words in the same sentence?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It was an extraordinary miswording. I know what he meant.
He needs to avoid saying my name at all costs. I'm telling you, what?
Wait, let's just leave it. Ash says, if you had to pick one, would you rather get another midfielder or extend Saliba and Saka's contract? What is a higher priority in your eyes?
Ending Cecil's contract right now, but it might be the biggest priority. I was going to say I need to catch up with yesterday's live, but I don't think I will.
Just don't bother. If you want Cecil to stay in the job, it's just best. Farhan has commented saying, James, why don't you defend Pepe in the same way you defend Mr. Most Mistakes in the Premier League, Granit? Pepe scored 16 goals last year and he didn't even play 4 matches in succession. Farhan, I don't think you really know where I stand on this with that comment. So I'm just going to really, politely say it. I don't want to get all rude and like bitey back. But I think I've been more of a defender of Pepe than I have Xhaka. With Xhaka, I've been very critical over many years. with Pepe, I've always said that I don't think the way Arteta uses him gets the best out of him. I think he's more of an instinctive player. I think he's more of a flair player who wants freedom, and coaching him to be in particular places and hug the touchline and all these things, doesn't come particularly naturally to Pepe. So I've more than defended him. Having said that, has he been good enough when he's had his chances? Absolutely not, in my opinion. You weren't impressed with him when you saw him out in Orlando.
No, I'm done with him as well. Once I'm done, I'm done. I think you've clocked that. It take an awful lot for a player to come back into my good books. Once I'm done, I am done.
Yeah.
And Pepe, I know it was only pre-season, but it was off the back of years of inconsistency, partly nothing to do with him in terms of playing time, but partly everything to do with him when he comes off the bench and his performance levels. But against Orlando, that first half, you was meant to be the star of the show. Instead, this Torres guy from Orlando stole the show in the first 45 minutes. Saka comes on, does what you should have done in the whole first 60 minutes you was there, gets the fullback a yellow card by running at him. And I just looked at it and said, that's it, Pepe, you're done, mate. I think it's not fair as well in terms of looking at both the same, because Pepe is no longer a first teamer. Pepe is either a backup, substitute, or he's out of the door. I don't think there's much debate now in terms of people saying we need to be playing Pepe, he needs to start. No one said that to me all summer.
Yeah.
Whereas with Xhaka, that's very much a first 11 issue, problem, or benefit to some.
That's a good point. There's a real debate around that. I like this from Jeff. Says, James, there's no accountability on socials. Had Arsenal followed you, Arteta would be gone and the progress would have stalled. Will you apologise to Arteta?
No, at the same time.
Should I apologise?
At the same time, my guy, what about the whole Wenger period of allowing him to carry on managing the club 5 years, maybe more overdue?
What's hilarious about that comment is that I'm considered more an Arteta lover and someone who is far too accepting of mediocrity. So it's interesting that's come from Jeff. Jeff, look, I'll answer this properly. Will I apologise? No. What am I apologising for? I wasn't abusive. I wasn't rude. I wasn't anything. I had an opinion. Was I wrong? Yeah, maybe. I might have been wrong. After Everton, I remember saying that I thought some of the football was worse than it was under Emery. And what I gave Emery was that at least it was chaotic. He felt Arsenal might do something, even though it was a complete mess. And I felt that there was a period last season where actually it was worse. It was when we lost to United and Everton and all that. So I think I got that wrong. And I addressed it actually when we lost to Man City. And I said, forget the result. The performance was really, really good, and Arteta's got me. And I said that, and I haven't swayed since. I've been since then wanting to see more of Arteta and more of this Arsenal team.
And this is where standards come into it as well. He's asking you to whether you're going to apologise because we're going into a season with the hope of getting top four. Is that where the line is? The line is hoping to get top four is a reason for an apology for doubting the process or doubting the experience or doubting the club in general.
Well, according to Jeff, Arteta's done enough to have proved us wrong. That's what that comment suggests.
That's incorrect.
I agree. And as I said, have I changed my mind from when I did have the doubts? Absolutely I have. I'm so on board with this. I love what Arsenal are doing. Have I got my doubts? Sure. But apologise. I mean, again, it's not, you're allowed to change your mind. That's all.
Yeah, give us a title
Maybe.
Challenge. Give us a title challenge, and you might start hearing sorries from James on Arteta, from me on Kroenke, but I really doubt it.
Gunning you down says, if we don't get top four, will Arteta apologise to James? Absolutely not, and he shouldn't have to. I mean, but great comment.
Get Cecil to ask him in the press conferences at the end of the season.
Yeah.
That'll be it. That'll be the last time he gets into it.
Tope says, but AirPod Albert was in charge against City at home, not Arteta. Oh yeah. Let's not go into that. Anyway, what else is everyone saying? People are saying just apologise. They're killing me. Someone making a point, could have had Klopp. Again, it goes back to the neglect all those years ago. But anyway, look, I think we've pretty much exhausted the news from today. It is really around Bellerin and Tielemans. What we wanted to do is actually devote a real discussion to not just what is being said, but what do we think is happening. And there is a difference. It's reports will say this, people will say that, and people kind of almost make their mind up on what they're told. Sometimes take two and two, put it together and ask yourself the question, does this make sense? Have Arsenal said to Yuri Tielemans, thank you, all the terms are great, we'd love to have you, but could you just wait a sec? How do you justify that? So we've got to explore how they possibly could. And I think you hit the nail on the head with, he's just clearly not a priority. or there is just another deal they have to do first before they can do this.
Yeah.
That's the only way it makes sense to me. I don't believe Arsenal have said, just hang on, just wait, and then they're going to get Paqueta. If we sign Lucas Paqueta, I will be so confident that nothing was ever agreed with Tielemans. How could that possibly make... That'd be borderline irresponsible from Arsenal. Even though it's ultimately got us where we want, I'd say, woof.
Yeah, took a massive risk there, but...
Well, Nancy says Arsenal will sign Tielemans. They're convinced. Lucas Paqueta's the man we need in midfield, not Odegaard. Listen, if Paqueta's coming, I think they're both playing. What else have we got? Dave says, why do some fans claim... This is Dave Jordan says, why do some fans claim they've been patient when they've screamed Arteta out multiple times over the past 2 years? Dave, that's a really good point. You know, some people also want to pretend that they didn't feel a certain way at one point.
My patience was gone before Arteta even came into the club. What about all those years before Mikel?
Well, exactly.
And my patience, that buck stops at the Kroenkes. A new manager doesn't change my lack of patience with the ownership. And that's the balance that the club and the owners led us down. At the end of the day, I want any manager I wanted Unai Emery. I wanted Wenger to turn it around. And I wanted Arteta to turn it around. I still want him to continue moving forward. But at the same time, if we link our patience to a new manager, then the Kroenkes get away with it every single time. This should be it now. If this process doesn't work, forget Mikel and Edu for a sec. The Kroenkes, Gary Neville was on Sky Sports the other day, and he turned to the presenter and said, "It's time for Glazers to sell up." Yeah, I looked at it and I said, the cheek of him. It's nearly been a decade. You was talking shit about Arsenal not so long ago, and our owners are worse than yours, my guy. But because he supports Man United, that's his club. Cool. I don't listen to Gary Neville for Arsenal. I support Arsenal. So if this process doesn't work, like I said, forget Arteta and Edu. Kroenkes need to go, because this is it now. One project was moving us into the Emirates. The other project was giving us a Project Youth with the Fabregas and whatnot. Then it was a Project British Youth, and now it's another Project Youth.
That picture.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it stops there. My patience had wore thin a long time ago with these owners before Wenger even got let go. So it's nothing against Arteta himself. Already, as Arsenal fans, our emotions were dragged through the mud over a decade plus before Arteta even stepped in here. So yes, we might be wrong on him. We might turn out in a couple of years and actually apologise for maybe the way we spoke, the way I spoke, or what we thought about the situation if we get back to the top. Not if we make top 4 or if we're nearly there. No, I'm tired of nearly being there.
I just think an apology is warranted if you're rude, or if you're abusive, or if you're...
Yeah, but you know the internet, everything's rude to them nowadays.
But yes, I think it's just a case of acknowledgement. I don't like people who, when things have gone wrong, then don't want to say that they got it wrong. Just be like, yeah, I got it wrong, but apologising. But listen, I hear everything you're saying, Turkish, and that's important, but there's a bigger problem here. And Ty Jr. has brought it up. Nicolas Pepe or Thierry Henry?
Who said? Did someone post that? Hey, block that user from the channel. Production, get that user out of here. Did he say that?
Yeah, I think his name's Ty Jr. I mean,
there's only space for one Ty around here anymore, and I'm out.
No, look. Anyway, we had a bit of fun. I think Arsenal are gonna kind of sail their way to the Leicester game. They're not going to sail to win. They're going to get to the Leicester game kind of stress-free on the transfer front. Bournemouth probably the same. And then as we enter that last week where there's, I want to say it's Villa then Fulham, or the other way around, and maybe Fulham then Villa. And then Old Trafford's looming that weekend after the transfer window. I think that is when we'll start to see things pick up. I think things will go a little bit quiet now. Shress says, what I like under Arteta, number 1, no flashy guys. 2, hungry players only. 3, tall, strong, fast centre-backs. 4, creative midfielders. 5, great strike force who can dribble and are quick. I agree with most of those. So let's hope he adds more of the players he wants. All right, guys, let's leave it there. thank you very much.
No worries.
If you enjoyed this video, smash a like as always. And check out all the content that's been coming out from... Is Talk is Cheap out or coming out?
Coming out tonight, 9
Coming out tonight. So look out for that. And while you've got 3 hours to kill till it's out, you go check out Tactical Insight, Biased, and yesterday's live show as well. You can finally hear what Cecil had to say on that wild live show. But we'll leave it there.
And love for all the love on Forever Arsenal as well, because we brought it to YouTube this season. And I'm seeing all the comments and all the appreciation. Love for the love you got.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Back same time tomorrow. See you then.